What's the one secret you've never dared tell anyone else? That my last breakup drove me to plan to kill myself, and I did all prep work, cleaned the house, put out all of the documents someone would need after I die, and I ended up backing out once I loaded the gun. Edit. Spelling. About a year before my mom died, she came home from an evening out with her friends completely it-faced. She didn't have any sort of drinking problem or anything like that. She just liked happy hour and was a lightweight. Usually she would just come home and take a nap, but this was the first time she'd gone out since her latest round of chemo, so she overestimated how much she could drink. I spent about an hour sitting outside the bathroom as she was throwing up. She kept telling me she was a horrible mother and I shouldn't have to take care of her, and she made me grow up too fast by getting cancer and I shouldn't be seeing her like this. When she was done puking, I cleaned her up and put her to bed, and she made me swear never to tell anyone that she got that drunk and made her kid take care of her. It was the last promise I made her, and it wasn't until years after she died that I had a meltdown and told my wife about it. She's still the only one who knows. I still have dreams about the love of my life, and we broke up almost 12 years ago. I have full-on conversations with people that don't exist. Imagine having imaginary friends at the age of 19. I originally made these characters up as a kid because I was often lonely, and now I keep them around to keep me level-headed when I'm in tense situations. I often jokingly refer to it as controlled schizophrenia. To myself, of course. I know my wife's Reddit name, so I go and upvote everything she posts even if I disagree. I'm scared. I just want it all to stop. To go back to being a kid and not have to worry about bills. Worry if I have enough money to pay them all. I'm worried that's my purpose. Just to pay bills. It's all I do. I don't have any friends. No family. It's me paying bills. It's been that way for years. Every night I cry myself to sleep. I work all week. I come home bored and sad. Not wanting to really do anything. Just wishing I could have more time for fun. So I can smile and be happy again. I know this sounds weird, but I honestly want a cuddle buddy. Like, I would love to just cuddle with someone and play games or watch a movie. My mother molested my sister in front of me. It was for only a second before I yelled at her to stop. She is never going to admit it, and my sister was so little she can't remember, so I'm never saying a word. Buddy since elementary school had his father pass away when we were young. He inherited his dad's truck when we were teenagers. I was ducking around in it looking for stash spots for weed, and I found a hidden list that had divorce family on it. I threw it away and never said anything. I can't handle money and I'm broke all the time. That I have never had a girlfriend or even kissed a woman. I have in my head conversations with people and pets who are no longer with us. I check in with my cat, who got me through some of the roughest parts of life. In my head, I talk to him and ask him how he's doing. I have also messaged my friend's old Gmail and Telegram account and tell him about cool new video games I'm playing that I know he would have liked. Most recently, I told his old account, man, they finally released that 2.5D Metroid you always wanted. It's pretty awesome. Edit. Formatting. Back when I was in school, a kid peed in the urinal and took it on the floor at the same time. I'm in my 40s and still dream of playing professional baseball. I'm training right now to do just that. I figure if I can pitch 100 miles per hour, team will give me a shot. I sometimes engage in age regression as a coping mechanism for dealing with depression and anxiety, wherein I wear cool pajamas, get my remaining stuffed animals together, and watch little kids shows and Disney movies. Also, I can escape my stressful college duties for a few hours at a time and reminisce about a happier time in my childhood. Disgustingly in love with my best friend. He has a girlfriend. He told me once that he's not straight, which made things so much worse for me. I know nothing will ever happen between us and I just want to get over him, but I don't know how. It rips me up inside on a daily basis. I'm living the life I think I'm supposed to live. I'm young, travel a good bit, go out and like to party, but I only do this because I feel it's what's expected of me. Honestly, I'm miserable. What I really want is to get married, have kids and be a dad and live a quiet, unassuming life, but I feel like instead I'm supposed to have adventures and be interesting and worldly. I'm a pussy duck who went into architecture instead of exploring my limits as an artist. Don't get me wrong. I love designing buildings and laying them out, but I always wondered what cold've been. Other than the police, hospital staff, and the inpatient staff, nobody knows that my dad used to hit me, choke me, get in my face shouting as loud as he physically could while pushing me against the bed and spitting on me while he yelled. Nobody knows that I locked my door once to avoid a bad mood dad and he broke it off the wall and hit me. Nobody knows that the time I was gone from school for months was because I tried killing myself because school, bullying, and my father was all too much. If you saw us now you'd think it's a normal relationship. But no, there were years and years of counseling and therapy on both ends. And I can barely tolerate him now. It was I who stole the cookie from the cookie jar. I said heck on a Christian server once. That I have run out of empathy for my children when they hurt themselves. They injure themselves like all the time, and there are many of them. I don't get into panic or worried reaction in the pit of my stomach anymore when they scream. I just grab a plaster and think what the duck is wrong now. First girl I fell in love with a few years ago was a long distance relationship. After I told her I loved her, couple months later maybe, she finally admits to me she is married. I stayed with her for a few more months until she cut all contact. I was so scared of being alone. I still am. But now I am just living with it. I'm a straight guy but I get the best orgasms with a dildo in my ass. It's the only time I moan during orgasm and I moan like a girl. It feels amazing. I like to regularly wear women's thong underwear. That I've been depressed as long as I can remember. How could I ever admit that to someone? Everything's been served to me in a silver platter. Yet here I am wishing I'd just die in my sleep. I really don't know what it would take to open up to someone. I don't want to complicate some poor unsuspecting friend and ultimately just have them wish I hadn't told them. The guilt of feeling this way while having such an easy life is what keeps everything down. My fiance registered signee thinks I'm always in control of whatever situations we're in. To be honest, I'm completely flying by the seat of my pants and I don't want her to know. When our plane touched down in Germany, I was ducking terrified and said wait, did I actually just move across the Atlantic Ocean? My German is still immigrant level. And I'm the only one of us working because she literally knows nothing about the language. She's from the Philippines. Even though I did have everything taken care of before we moved and owed $15,000 in buffer money, I didn't know what to do as far as getting a job or cementing my standing here. I had just turned 18 at the time, and she was 22. Somehow I've managed to provide for us for the last 4 years. I was feeling suicidal when I was the 8th of September 2010. No really. I asked my brother if he had ever felt suicidal and he said he told our mum. So I went ahead and told her and she replied there's a knife, do it. I assume it was cause she was drunk. That I was wrong. I moved to the other side of the country to live with the love of my life but got homesick and came back, effectively breaking us up. The trade-off wasn't worth it and I miss her every day. I never should have left. Helen, if you see this, I'm so sorry and I never blamed you. Not once. I occasionally send a message to my ex's dead kick account and tell them about my day because I miss their friendship so much. I have no other friends to talk to. Edit. Whoa. Thank you everyone. I don't want to remain an anonymous figure in an anonymous city. I want to be an art critic but I'm afraid I will never be one. I stole women's underwear from a laundry room once and tried it on for the sexual thrill. I swear I'm not a psychopath. I got my cousin pregnant and she had an abortion. I was the one who took the embarrassing picture of SpongeBob at the Christmas party. I have a toy dog. I carry her around the house. Parents don't comment on it, and she means so much to me. I always make sure she can see the TV properly or is tucked under a blanket so she's warm. Objectivity, I know she's not alive, but she is for me. She talks me through things and is almost like my conscience. Pretty pathetic, I guess. I'm 23. NSFW probably, but no details. Sexual violence. I have been sexually assaulted by 3 different people, starting when I was very young. None of them knew each other, all at different points in my life. I just have the worst luck. and my panic response is to freeze, which does not really help in situations like that. The worst part is, after all of this has happened to me, I've developed a bit of a submission kink. I haven't told anyone, but I'm thinking about discussing it with my husband. The thing is, he's from a very sexually repressed culture, so sex is very vanilla. He does try to do some stuff for me, like grabbing me by the throat, but I'm afraid this would be too much for him since he can't even give or receive oral. I've also found I'm developing a CNC enforced breeding kink. I don't know where this is coming from, because I'm very against having kids. TLDR, sexually assaulted, developing unusual kinks, scared to discuss with vanilla husband. Edit. Thanks for all the support and encouragement, guys. I think I'll talk to him. You guys are great. Really less than 3. I have a mental safe space I can go to when I'm stressed, or thinking really hard about something, or reading. It helps me damp down emotions if something is going wrong, because it's familiar and safe and I know every inch of it by heart. I don't need to close my eyes to be there or anything. Just kinda think about it idly. I'm doing it now while I write this. It's my middle school, but it's empty. No furniture, no other people. I can go to the lobby, outside, or to the library. I particularly enjoy the cafeteria and the wood and metal shop below it. There's also the computer lab nearly as well. The locker bay creeps me out, but I enjoy the gym area. I also sometimes add to it. Like for a while I would add a Harry Potter themed castle turret above the cafeteria full of pillows. And it's occasionally still there. I'm 29. I was overweight and my ex was obese when we were dating. We were both really self-conscious about our bodies. Since our breakup she hasn't seemed to have lost any weight, but I have lost 75 pounds and am now healthy and fit. I ran my first 5k yesterday and finished in the top 27%. We're still Facebook friends, and every time I post a picture of myself where I know I look good, I secretly hope she sees it and feels bad about herself. I never do anything to bring it to her attention or write anything in the caption that could be considered a dig at her, but the thought is always in the back of my mind and it makes me feel like a terrible person. When I was about 5 years old, I went over to my friend's house to play and she told me she wanted to show me something in her brother's bedroom. He was 15. She opened his desk drawer and took out a tiny rubber doll, about 4 or 5 inches high. It was a woman wearing a strapless red bathing suit. And when you pressed on her stomach, her top flopped down and exposed her breasts. No nipples. Think Barbie. I didn't regard it as sexual, because I had no awareness of sexuality at the time, but I was fascinated by it and wanted to know how it worked. Later, when my friend's mom called her downstairs, I went back into her brother's room and took the doll out and played with it, trying to figure out if there was some sort of mechanism inside. Something happened, and it broke. I put it back in the drawer and never told anyone. Through the years I remained close to her family. Both my friend and her brother died a couple of years ago, and I never told them. I know it sounds stupid, especially because it happened 55 years ago, but I still feel guilty about it. Throwaway because some people know my Reddit handle. Friend of mine started hanging out with my usual group. He gets along with most everyone real easily. He's a real cool guy to be around. Turns out he molested his younger sister when they were teenagers or thereabouts. This only came to light recently. He's undergone psychiatric evaluation and now he's deemed to not be a threat to society. He's offered to pay for her counseling and she refused, which I can't blame her at all for. It's really ducked with my head. I feel like this question is always posted by cop or FBI agent looking for child molesters or serial killers. I've been trolling my abusive ex for like 8 years or something now and I have no intention of ever stopping. I was conceived 3 months after my dad had a vasectomy. I'm a doctor's wife and a fairly conservative individual. One day after driving to the hospital, I needed to take a massive it, but I had my daughter with me who has special needs and had tubes and things to manage. Getting her from the car to the waiting room took about 30 minutes on average on previous doctor's visits. I stood out of the driver's seat of my car and I knew instantly I wouldn't make it. I sat horrified at my situation. Realizing that I would either have to run inside leaving my infant daughter unattended in the parking garage of a hospital in a major city, no way, or leave to the nearest fast food place to dash in, but I'd miss this appointment I'd waited 1.5 months for with a specialist. So I did the only thing I could do. I drove my luxury sports sedan to the very top of the parking garage, where there was less chance of surveillance, and amidst towering skyscrapers, I pulled down my designer khaki slacks and took the most massive hit I've ever seen on the concrete, as far in the corner and away from other vehicles as possible. My husband is the only one that knows. I've tried to kill myself multiple times, and I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed depression.